Hello? Okay. Sorry, I was making sure this is recording. Okay. So I'm going to email. I found the 2021 Student October Count Audit Resource Guide on CDE's website. Page 31, which, okay, hold on. Let me come down to here, go to there. 31 outlines contractual education students. So I want you to read through that. And then once you get, just quickly, let me tell you read it for you so you understand where we were coming from with this. Contractual education students are those students for whom a district is paying tuition to another district or third-party entity to educate one of its students. Tuition is defined as money paid to cover the student's basic educational services. If a district is paying tuition for educational services at a non-district location, the district is entitled to submit the student for funding in its Student October Count data submission. In such cases, the district will be responsible for ensuring that it has all necessary documentation from the educational provider evidencing the student has met all funding requirements. Examples of educational providers include, but are not limited to, another Colorado public school district, a BOCES, a state or private facility, etc., which we determined we fall under a private facility within the district. In the event the district is, okay, the other part doesn't apply to us because the district is not providing services. Okay, so what this means is that, which is why we are technically enrolled with the school district, our students are, with their names, addresses, all of that. We give that, so they're technically enrolled with the school district, right? And that's why we can get that funding. That's why we submit all of our data to the school district to be included in the October count for funding. Now, this page also outlines for us what documentation has to be included, which these are all things that should be being submitted annually. I guess, in all honesty, I don't believe I sat down with Al and went through all of this. I'm assuming that the schedules that were provided previously, Jen has been doing, but perhaps she has not been. And if she hasn't been, somebody at the district should have caught on to that. And if they haven't, we should probably make sure that moving forward, we have all of these items in place. And I can help with any of that. Then when we come down here to page 82, this is how you then calculate how many hours are counted for funding. Okay, so I sat here and used the majority of this guide, not all of it, to to count our hours per semester that our kids are at our school. Because if you see this here, it says full-time funding. The student must have a schedule as of the pupil enrollment count date that provides for at least 360 hours of teacher-pupil instruction and contact time in the semester of that enrollment count date. Okay. So so lunch cannot count, and recess doesn't count, or you can continue to scroll down when you go through here. And if you want to reread and see if you think I'm wrong on something, please do that. This one only talks about, let me come back up here. Sorry. In here, it tells you passing lunch is not a part of the instructional day, so that doesn't count. And then passing periods between two classes and between a class and lunch can be included, but passing between the end of lunch and the next class is not. It doesn't say anything about recess. And I couldn't find anything about recess. In Montana, it really outlined for us that recesses could not be included. So I went ahead and I don't think I'm accurate, actually, now that I'm thinking about this, on the 3-day-a-week kiddos with their hours because they don't have recess. But I left out recess for the 2-day-a-week kids. All this being said, we could go down and we could maybe sit down together. I don't know what Monday looks like for either of you, but I could sit down with you before you meet with Chris on Tuesday and outline to you kind of how I did the math to figure it all out. But it's pretty explanatory within here as well. But from what I can determine, the 2-day-a-week kids that come to our school are getting, in the first semester of this current school year we're in, the first semester, they had 202 and a half contact hours, and second semester 204. And that's because I had to subtract out the early release hours. But I did, they're at the school for 7 hours, but we have 20 minutes of recess in the morning, 20 minutes before lunch, and then 20 minutes of lunch. So I did deduct an hour from instructional time for each day for the 2-day-a-week students. I also deducted that same amount for the 3-day-a-week students. However, I don't think I should have because they don't have a 20-minute recess. But nonetheless, they still wouldn't qualify for full-time funding because they, with first semester for the 3-day students, even though I subtracted a full hour out of their instructional time, it came to 292 and a half. There's just no way we're going to come up with 70 hours though, in there. So that must be why we only could have gotten the part-time funding through the state. But if you want to sit down and hammer some of that out a little bit more, we can do that. But I am going to email both of you ladies this whole document. They revise this document every so often, but it's not annually. And it's not super easy to find on the Colorado Department of Education website. But it would be good to be prepared with both of these pages and then hours and all of that when you go to meet with Chris. If for some reason he determined that we could calculate home days in our time, that would change things. But I think because parents are not certified teachers, that may be an issue. However, I don't find anything in this audit resource guide that discusses certified teachers. So that could be, unless I go through and I'm not going to lie, I haven't read every single page. And there's a lot of pages that are irrelevant because they're talking about certain things that just don't apply. But we could try to look through some more and see if there's areas and try to come up with an argument that we should be able to count some homeschool days or hours in there. And we might be able to come up with enough time to change that status from part-time to full-time funding. So anyway, there you go.